In the climate-controlled silence of Windsor Castle's vault, spring light filtered through reinforced glass onto rows of velvet cases, each labelled with meticulous Royal Collection Trust inventory codes. It was May 2018, and a conservator's gloved hand lifted a velvet-lined case, revealing the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik Tiara, its platinum band set with brilliant cut diamonds surrounding 6 emeralds, commissioned by Boucheron around 1919. The clasp mechanism, oiled quarterly since 1942, clicked open with the practiced ease of institutional care. The loan followed established Royal Collection protocols, approval for specific occasions, documented handling procedures, strict conservation requirements. The documentation noted precedent. Similar loans to the Duchess of Cambridge on multiple occasions between 2011 and 2017. What the records could not document was the silence that would follow. Some jewels test allegiance, others mark the moment access becomes withdrawal. Subscribe if you want the documented story behind royal jewellery that appeared only once. By late spring of 2018, the Royal Collection Trust's lending protocol operated with the precision of a diplomatic mechanism refined across generations. When Meghan Markle received her first invitation to Windsor's vault, a windowless chamber maintained at constant temperature and humidity, she entered a system unchanged since Queen Mary's systematic cataloguing in the 1920s. Each piece bore provenance documentation, acquisition date, previous wearers, materials analysis, and conditions of loan. The Collection Trust, established as a department of the royal household in 1993, managed thousands of items separate from the crown jewels or the Queen's personal collection. Palace advisors presented 3 tiers of access. Tier 1 consisted of pieces worn by multiple royals, available for state occasions. Tier 2 comprised significant historical jewels requiring direct approval. Tier 3 encompassed personal collection items, rarely loaned. The Duchess of Cambridge had borrowed from Tier 1 numerous times in her first 7 years. For Meghan, the vault opened with ceremony. Protocol suggested it would remain open, but 3 pieces would mark the boundary between welcome and warning. During October 2018, Meghan wore Queen Mary's Art Deco bracelet, a streamlined band of baguette diamonds set in platinum, with geometric precision rooted in the 1920s modernist movement. Royal Collection documentation identifies it as created during Mary's systematic patronage of Art Deco designers who reshaped royal aesthetics after the Victorian era. The bracelet's clean lines represented Mary's deliberate shift toward contemporary design while maintaining monarchical gravitas. Meghan paired it with formal evening attire. The bracelet's angles caught camera flashes during harbourside events, and fashion historians noted the pairing's sophistication, a modern royal borrowing, modernist jewellery that asserted contemporary relevance within traditional structures. The bracelet was photographed extensively, then returned to Windsor, following the tour, recatalogued, cleaned, and placed back in storage. It has not appeared on loan documentation since. The next request from Meghan's office went unanswered for 6 weeks. When jewellery becomes currency, silence is its own denomination. The Royal Collection Trust operates within a hierarchy that makes access both privilege and test. The Queen's personal jewellery, pieces she inherited privately or received as gifts, remained under her direct control and were loaned at her discretion. Collection items, technically held in trust for the nation, required approval from the master of the household, the Queen's private secretary, and often the Queen herself for significant pieces. Precedent guided decisions. Catherine Middleton borrowed Queen Mary's Lover's Knot tiara multiple times after her 2015 debut, wearing it, establishing a pattern of repeated access that signaled institutional acceptance. The Queen Mother's jewellery, bequeathed to Elizabeth II in 2002, formed a subcategory, pieces heavy with personal meaning and loaned cautiously. Approval layers multiplied with historical weight. A bracelet from the 1920s required 2 signatures. A tiara worn at coronations required 4. The system functioned as both preservation protocol and social architecture. Who borrowed what, how often, and with what restrictions mapped the invisible structure of royal hierarchy. Access could be granted with fanfare and withdrawn through administrative silence. The vault kept its own records. So did the wearers who watched the doors close. May 19, 2018, St. George's Chapel, Windsor. The moment a bride's head bowed forward to receive a tiara established not just aesthetic, but institutional position. The Greville Emerald Kokoshnik Tiara, its 6 hexagonal emeralds set amid diamond scrollwork, had been bequeathed to the crown in 1942 by Dame Margaret Greville, a society hostess whose jewelry collection entered the royal vault through careful legacy planning. Boucheron created the original design in the Kokoshnik style, a Russian-inspired headdress shape popular in Edwardian England. Palace press releases emphasized its spectacular quality, while noting it carried no direct royal lineage. No queen consort had worn it. No coronation had featured it. Compared to the Spencer tiara, heavy with Diana's memory, or tiaras worn by previous queens, this piece offered beauty without burden, display without dynasty. Meghan wore it secured with pins into an upswept bun, the emeralds catching afternoon light through stained glass. Photographers captured every angle. Collection documentation noted one wearing, May 19, 2018, returned May 21, 2018. The tiara returned to its vault case. Loan requests filed afterward received no response. A spectacular choice became a singular one. In royal jewelry language, once often means only. The third piece Meghan wore that day carried the weight of personal inheritance rather than institutional loan. At the evening reception at Frogmore House, she appeared wearing Princess Diana's aquamarine ring, a large emerald-cut stone set in 24-carat yellow gold, commissioned by Diana from Asprey in 1996 following her divorce. Diana's personal jewelry collection, separate from royal loans, was divided between William and Harry upon her death in 1997. The aquamarine worn by Diana to a Christie's auction preview in June 1997 represented her post-royal independence, jewelry she chose, commissioned and controlled without palace approval. When Meghan wore it on her wedding evening, she made visible a different kind of inheritance, not the institution's carefully managed loans, but the personal legacy passed from mother to son to wife. Fashion analysts noted the symbolism, Diana's freedom jewel, on the hand of a woman entering the structure Diana had left. The ring sparked immediate media attention, praised as tribute and criticized as presumption. Unlike the loaned tiara, this piece required no vault return and no collection trust documentation. It belonged to Harry, therefore to Meghan. Ownership offered freedom that borrowing never could. But jewelry that speaks of independence inevitably draws institutional notice. The question was not whether she could wear it. The question was what wearing it announced. Palace protocol regarding jewelry choices operated through silence rather than directive. No official statement addressed which pieces Meghan could request, or which would be denied. Yet patterns emerged in Royal Collection Trust records and photographic archives. Between May 2018 and March 2020, Meghan's loan request to the Royal Collection decreased from initial frequency to eventual absence. Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, continued borrowing at established rates. The Lover's Knot tiara appeared at state dinners, Queen Mary's pearl choker at formal events, and various brooches across diplomatic tours. The same pieces Meghan had worn once remained in circulation for other royals. No collection spokesman issued explanations, no palace source confirmed restrictions. But jewelry access functions as an institutional barometer, showing what is offered, what is worn repeatedly, and what appears once and never again, mapping the topology of favor and reserve. Jewelry historians noted the contrast between pre-wedding vault access and post-wedding silence. Some interpreted it as Meghan's choice, a preference for personal pieces over institutional loans. Others saw a withdrawal of privilege, disguised as personal preference. The Royal Collection Trust kept its records private. What remained visible were the photographs, Meghan in borrowed jewels during her first months, then increasingly in personal Cartier, and minimal gold thereafter. Permission given is not permission sustained. In royal jewelry, absence speaks as clearly as display. The vault, it seemed, had quietly closed. On October 23, 2018, the same night Meghan wore Queen Mary's Art Deco bracelet in Australia, she also wore diamond and pearl drop earrings to the state dinner in Fiji. Palace officials initially declined to identify the earrings' origin, standard practice for borrowed jewelry during tours. But journalists traced them to a wedding gift from Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, given in March 2018. The timing proved unfortunate. Jamal Khashoggi, Saudi journalist and critic of the Crown Prince, had been killed in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul on October 2nd, just 3 weeks before the Fiji dinner. When the Times of London later reported the earrings' provenance, linking them to Mohammed bin Salman, amid international outcry over Khashoggi's murder, palace spokespeople issued brief statements. Meghan, they said, had been unaware of the earrings' specific origin when she wore them. Protocol staff had selected jewelry from her available pieces. The statement satisfied no one. Critics argued royals should know every item's source, and defenders noted the impossibility of tracking every gift's political implications in real time. But the incident marked a shift. Jewelry, always political, had become liability. Pieces that once signaled alliance now carried scrutiny. After Fiji, Meghan's jewelry choices became demonstrably simpler. Fewer loans, more personal pieces, careful neutrality. The vault doors, already narrowing, found new reason to remain closed. Gemstones, it turned out, could spark international incident as easily as they could reflect light. By November 2018, at Remembrance Day ceremonies at the cenotaph, Meghan's appearance marked a visible shift in adornment strategy. She wore a simple black coat, minimal jewelry, small pearl earrings, no brooches, and no tiaras at the evening reception that would have traditionally featured borrowed collection pieces. Photographic comparison with previous royal women at the same ceremonies showed contrasts in jewelry choices. Other royals wore significant collection pieces and regimental brooches. Meghan's restraint, whether chosen or circumstantial, spoke through absence. Collection trust loan records from this period, while not publicly available, showed a pattern confirmed by palace photographers. Requests ceased. Whether she stopped asking or stopped receiving approval became indistinguishable. The outcome remained identical. Royal historians noted the shift from her wedding day's spectacular borrowed tiara to 6 months later a studied minimalism. Some read it as maturity, settling into royal life by developing personal style rather than borrowing institutional identity. Others saw it as exclusion, access withdrawn through the passive mechanism of unanswered requests and unavailable pieces. The truth, as often with royal life, likely combined both, personal preference emerging from institutional constraint, choice shaped by diminishing options. Either way, the borrowed jewels remained in their vault cases, their loan cards noting single wearings followed by silence. She had stopped asking, or they had stopped answering. The result looked the same. Royal tradition holds that new brides have pieces reset or altered, small adjustments signaling integration into the family's material legacy. When Catherine married in 2011, she received the Queen's Cartier halo tiara for her wedding, then gradually had various pieces adjusted to her proportions, earrings shortened, bracelets resized, brooches converted to different clasps. Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, received Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother's jewelry, as gifts through the 2000s, various pieces adjusted to suit her preferences while maintaining their historical essence. These alterations appeared in royal jeweler records, documentation of modifications that marked a piece's transition from one royal woman to another, physical evidence of dynastic continuity. For Meghan, collection trust records show no such alterations. The tiara she wore returned unmodified. The bracelet came back exactly as loaned. Royal jewelers confirmed no request for royal jewelry modifications on Meghan's behalf during her time as a working royal. The absence of alterations signaled temporary access rather than permanent integration. Pieces loaned for specific occasions, worn once, returned unchanged, the relationship remained transactional rather than transformational. In royal jewelry language, resetting stones means claiming legacy. Returning pieces untouched means acknowledging borrowed time. Whether by palace design or Meghan's choice, the jewelry remained fundamentally unchanged by her hands. Nothing was reshaped to fit her. She fit herself, temporarily, to what existed. The message was clear without words. Some jewels pass through hands without leaving trace. Others never truly belong to those who wear them. March 9, 2020, Westminster Abbey. The final appearance as working royals, Meghan wore a green Amelia Wickstead dress and matching hat, but the jewelry told its own story. Her earrings were personal pieces, not borrowed. No collection brooch marked the occasion. No tiara would appear at any evening reception, because there would be no evening reception. Photographic records from that Commonwealth Day service showed the sum of choices. Understated adornment, nothing requiring vault access or loan approval. The contrast with her arrival less than 2 years earlier marked the journey's arc, from borrowed spectacular to owned minimal, from vault access to personal collection. Wardrobe documentation noted the absence of royal jewelry more than the presence of personal pieces. What was not worn spoke louder than what was. Behind the scenes, collection trust inventories recorded the final accounting. All borrowed pieces returned, all loans closed, all cases re-catalogued. Conservators cleaned, photographed, and restored items to their designated positions. The Greville Emerald Kokoshnik Tiara returned to its case with updated loan history, showing it was worn by Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex on May 19, 2018, on one occasion. Queen Mary's Art Deco bracelet received similar notation, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, October 2018, one occasion. The vault's velvet cases closed with their characteristic soft sound, mechanical precision cushioned by fabric, institutional permanence dressed in gentleness. The jewelry remained where it had always been. The woman who briefly wore it moved on to different vaults, different jewels, different systems of meaning. Empty cases tell stories too, of access granted, of access closed, of the space between. From 2020 onward, in California, Meghan's jewelry choices established their own language, separate from Windsor's vaults. In March 2021, in the interview with Oprah Winfrey, she wore Diana's tennis bracelet, not a loan from the royal collection, but a personal inheritance through Harry, a piece Diana owned privately. The bracelet, set with paved diamonds, carried no palace approval, no collection trust documentation, no loan return deadline. Meghan's post-royal jewelry became notably consistent. Cartier pieces she and Harry purchased, Lorraine Schwartz designs commissioned for specific occasions, Jennifer Meyer friendship bracelets with symbolic significance. Each piece represented ownership rather than borrowing, choice rather than protocol. She wore Cartier love bracelets in public appearances, diamond halo earrings at private events, all purchased, all permanently hers. The shift from borrowed institutional pieces to owned personal jewelry marked more than aesthetic preference. It represented the transformation from temporary access to permanent possession. Palace jewelry, no matter how often worn, remained the institution's property. Personal pieces, however modest by royal vault standards, belonged unconditionally. Jewelry historians noted the deliberate selection of meaningful personal items over spectacular borrowed ones. Her collection grew through intention, pieces commemorating births, gifts marking relationships, designs chosen for personal rather than diplomatic symbolism. The vault at Windsor held tiaras she had worn once. The jewelry box in California held pieces she would wear dozens of times. Royal jewelry communicated institution. Personal jewelry communicated identity. She had built her own vault, smaller perhaps, but entirely hers. No loan forms, no return dates, no approval required. Freedom, it turned out, could be measured in carats that belonged to you rather than centuries of jewels you could only borrow. The royal collection continued its rotations through other wearers. the jewelry outlasting any single person who touched it. The Greville Emerald Kokoshnik Tiara appeared at state events worn by other royals in the years following Meghan's departure, its emeralds catching light above different faces, its platinum bands adjusted to different proportions, its loan cards accumulating new dates and occasions. Queen Mary's Art Deco bracelet returned to circulation for diplomatic events, its geometric lines suiting contemporary formal wear across multiple wearers. The collection, indifferent to individual drama, continued its institutional function, preservation, rotation, documentation. Museum exhibitions between 2020 and 2024 featured various pieces Meghan had worn once, displayed now behind glass, with comprehensive provenance cards noting all previous wearers. The labels read, "Worn by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cambridge, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, Her Royal Highness Princess Anne," in neutral chronological listing. No hierarchy, no commentary, just dates and names, the collection's version of history, stripped of narrative. Catherine continued borrowing pieces at regular intervals, her loan frequency unchanged. Other royal women accessed the vault according to their roles and occasions. The jewelry moved through hands as it always had, witness to generations, outlasting marriages and departures and all the small human dramas that temporarily touched its stones. Royal jewels ultimately belonged to no one. They passed through custody, briefly claimed, eventually returned. The collection remembers all who wore them and all who stopped. Memory embedded in platinum and diamonds lasts longer than memory held in human minds. The vault, patient and permanent, keeps its records. Every clasp that opens will close. Every loan that begins will end. Every shimmer that catches public light will return to darkness between wearings. Today the jewels rest in their designated locations. The Greville Emerald Kokoshnik Tiara in its Windsor vault case, Queen Mary's Art Deco bracelet in climate-controlled storage, all pieces carefully maintained by conservators who monitor temperature, humidity, and light exposure with institutional devotion. Museum display rotations occasionally feature them in exhibitions on royal jewelry, 20th century design, or wedding traditions, glass cases replacing vault doors, public visibility replacing private access. The Royal Collection Trust public database lists each piece with comprehensive provenance, creation date, materials analysis, dimensions, previous wearers noted in chronological order without editorial comment. Meghan's name appears in those lists, a single line in longer histories, one wearing among many across decades. Public perception of these jewels has shifted since 2018. They have become symbols of institutional access and withdrawal, case studies in royal jewelry as social architecture. Commentators interpret them as evidence of various narratives: welcome turned to exclusion, independence choosing restraint over spectacle, the inevitable friction between personal identity and institutional expectation. Historical reinterpretation continues, each analysis revealing as much about the interpreter as the interpreted. Were the loans genuine welcome or testing protocol? Was the withdrawal institutional control or personal preference? Did Meghan stop requesting access, or did access stop being granted? The jewelry itself offers no answers, only evidence, loan cards with single dates, photographs of single wearings, vault cases that closed and remained closed. The pieces continue to fulfill their function, loaned for state occasions, returned to storage, witness to the ongoing performance of monarchy through material culture. They outlasted the brief moment when Meghan's hands fastened their clasps. They will outlast all current interpretations, all contemporary debates. In 50 years, archivists will note the same facts: loaned once, worn once, returned once. The emotional context will fade into historical curiosity. The jewels will remain, indifferent and permanent. Behind museum glass now, light catches the Greville Tiara's emeralds, exactly as it did in Windsor's vault in May 2018. The label, reading worn by H.M. the Queen, H.R.H., the Duchess of Sussex, others. One occasion, one moment, one test or welcome or threshold, crossed and never recrossed. What jewels say when they are never worn again depends on who is listening. The stones themselves stay silent, holding their light, waiting for the next hands that will fasten their clasp for ceremonies yet to come.